Aloha, I'm Dr. Val, Kauai Psychologist, and today's tip is loving learning. Let's look at learning as a tool for coping with the immense amount of change and stress that's in our environment right now. Let me explain a little bit about what goes on in our brain first to give you an overview of what is being affected by the learning process. First of all, thinking, feeling, and behaving are all interlinked. They're all linked through an electrical chemical process of neurotransmission or brain transmission through a couple of different structures. Those major structures are known as neurons and synapses or gaps. Now, what we want to do in the learning process is we want to affect that neuronal development or the neurotransmission chemical process. And we can do that through 4 different means. First of all, we can actually develop new neurons. That's called neurogenesis. And it's something that can happen throughout your life. You're never too old or too young to learn. Secondly, there are chemical changes or clumps that happen in the synapses that facilitate that electrical chemical transmission process when you learn. Third, there's development of physical structures known as spines that happen on the dendrites or the roots of a neuron. And those help facilitate that electrical chemical process of neurotransmission. And finally, but not last but not least, is the organizational structure in your brain. That is also affected in a good way, in a positive way, through the learning process. Well, what are some of the benefits so that I can convince you that you really ought to engage in the learning ongoing throughout your life, but especially now? Well, first of all, we've looked at some of the chemical changes and the structural changes in your brain that are possible. It'll increase your learning speed. It increases the connections between your skills so that when you do learn new skills, there'll be a transfer effect and learning new skills won't be as difficult. Certainly it'll fight boredom. And here's a good one for today's needs. You will be able to adapt better to change. It'll stave off dementia, in case you might be worried about that these days. And it increases your well-being, your happiness, increases your confidence. Becoming healthy and sharp and having better neurotransmission is something that you can affect. So let's engage in the learning process. Here's several ideas for you. First of all, what are you interested in? Are you interested in gardening? Well, Google gardening and see if there's something that you might be interested in learning about your garden. Maybe the specific plants that are out there. Maybe you're interested in animals, want to learn something about animals. You can even go to various zoos around the world and they have learning information that you can read and you can engage in. There's so many things that you can look up that will help you in your learning process. How about learning online with classes? There's many classes that are provided nowadays that are for free. Yes, I said free. People are being so gracious and giving these days that a lot of universities are offering all kinds of free online material that you can engage with. And languages. What about languages? That's one of the best ways of improving your brain functioning, at least research demonstrates. There's so many things that you can learn these days. Use that tool of learning and see if your brain functioning doesn't improve, along with your well-being and ability to handle the stressors of these days. Loving learning. Bless you guys.